Hey guys, Loco here with head coach of CLG, Weldon Green. Weldon, you just came off a really tough loss to Optic Academy. And the weird thing is, your Academy team actually beat them about a few days ago, right? So, yeah, what happened?
I think that Optic Academy put in a ringer, like a ex-world champion, something in the mid lane. But for us, for me at least, it was really edifying because I was seeing a lot of the stuff that we've been improving on in scrimmages, get better on stage, and then a lot of the stuff that we know are problems, I saw there as well. I didn't see anything new crop up. So for me, it's really exciting to just know that, we have people who are performing the same on in training as they are on stage. There's not a lot of like jitters, or like mindset issues, that we're making progress on the things that we make progress on. And I think now that we have our strategic coach in NA, and he's been here for 3 days, and things have been exploding in terms of consistency since we started making the draft a lot more centered on this meta. I think it's going good.
Speaking of draft, we have to bring up the Xerath pick. There was so much engage on the opposite side of the map. Camille, Lissandra, Leona, and then you guys still counterpick with a Xerath. So, yeah, I mean, as an analyst, I'm kind of curious, and I'm sure a lot of fans are curious. What was up with the Xerath pick?
Well, I think you have Tristan is very confident, right? So I think that we had options, and everybody was aware of him. Tristan presented other options as well, and he was just leaning there like, yeah, pick me. And honestly, we played this in scrims also, and he's just really good at it. And the combo with the long range ulti is pretty sick with Rakan. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of strengths with both compositions. I think it goes up in the air. It's whoever engages first. If Camille gets caught out on the way in at any point, or if she has a kind of a lackluster mid game, then it looks really silly to go in the other direction as well because of the sheer range potential there. So I just think that it was great that his team had confidence in him for that pick into the insane damage and engage that they were putting out.
So during the offseason, a lot of the teams made big upgrades, and you guys also did too. Power Beeble was a very, very wanted player across the whole board. I mean, he was probably the third best mid laner after Bjergsen and Jensen, but one player that didn't switch for you guys that fans have a lot of criticism for is Darshan. And Darshan's kind of the face of CLG in a certain sense. He's the longest standing member, and his performance this game wasn't the greatest. And with a lot of the top laners getting better in North America, people have questions whether Darshan can stand up or not. As a coach, and yeah, as a coach, head coach of CLG, how do you feel about Darshan, and how do you feel about the roster overall?
Well, the roster overall, I'm really proud of. Mostly, I mean, I don't really have any credibility towards, achieving it, because it was really Tony that put in the work to create the CLG Academy that we're thriving under, essentially. So it's really kudos to him that we have such a strong roster, I think. And then particularly with Darshan, I mean, he's never been under my coaching structure, and so I think that while there are definitely more, there's a hierarchy in players, and obviously there are people who you can just look at and say this player is better than that player, but it's really difficult for teams to share those around. CLG didn't have the greatest year last year, and so obviously we're not going to be able to go after UCal and be like, hey, so I think that it's the same in the top lane, right? The biggest players in the world are going to re-sign with their teams, or going to big Chinese teams, or staying in Korea, and you don't have a lot of voice as a org that placed 7th and 8th in the regular split to nab those people. Mm-hmm. And then once you get to the step below, obviously world-class insane players, mm-hmm. Like Faker's level, and like UCal's level, then you're looking at people who you can't make an argumentative case, that say this person's better or worse. A lot of it comes down to team and team synergy and coaching and infrastructure and the meta. Mm-hmm. So I think we just have a lot of confidence in him because he thrives so well under pressure, mm-hmm. and because he's such a good teammate in terms of how it is that, he subs out and subs in, and he really thrives when he's subbed out and does his best to fix all of the errors that he has, whether they're mechanical or team-based or mindset-based. So I think that at least the management team, when I came in, had a lot of confidence in his ability to improve and adapt.
Okay. So another person that I have to ask about is Irene. So a lot of people don't even know who Irene is. They don't even know he used to be a player. everyone was crying for CLGLS, CLGLS, where's CLGLS? So can you tell us a little bit about Irene and how you guys work together?
Yeah, so we did our due diligence for him. I mean, you can look at his record in Turkey. It's really insane. I think he had very similar showings there that I did with TSM in terms of like winning 28 games in a row, stuff like that. I mean, not in a row, but 28-2, I think, was his record over 2 splits, just 2 losses or something. I probably got the numbers wrong there, but just go look on Liquid Gamepedia, Leaguepedia. I don't want to support the wrong site.
Whatever pedia.
Whatever pedia you choose to pedia. And I think that I was attracted to him through the interview process because we're closer to the same age. We're closer to the same life experience. We also have been jumping around regions, gaining experiences as coaches, and we have very strong coaching philosophies. So he has a lot of presence, and I don't have to worry about training him in that. He has the kind of presence where he can stand in front of a room of guys, and when they jump off topic, he can silently just wait for them to notice that he's gravitationally the center of what's going on and fall silent, and then he can continue his conversation. And that's not something that a lot of 23-year-olds bring to the table. So I think that then when you couple that with his game knowledge and his comfort, on stage, it's just a winning combo.
So there was a player missing today from the CLG roster, Wiggly. I know for a fact a lot of teams really wanted Wiggly, and he was a very, very hyped up academy player. He played 2 games towards the end, did great. Why didn't we see Wiggly today? I personally was really excited to see Wiggly.
When is this interview going out?
Monday at the earliest.
Monday at the earliest. Okay. All right. Yeah. So this weekend, our lineup, we have player evaluation inside CLG because we have a starting lineup, right? And there's 10 people to choose from. And so we're going to put in the people that we think are the best chance to win the game, that particular game on that weekend. And we're trying to make it as transparent and as accurate as possible. And Galen did a fantastic job on himself in the last year that he was developing as a player, as a leader, as a shot caller, and came in super, super strong. Moon. And Wiggly also has his strengths, and as you can see, we got to play both of them this weekend, and so that's an exciting opportunity for us to see then once they get on stage how each of them stands up to their respective roles and how the team functions under their early game leadership. So for us, it was like a testing weekend. Okay, they have their strengths and weaknesses in scrims. Let's see what they do when matched up against people on stage and compared.
So for the CLG fans out there, they weren't very happy about offseason. They're not very happy about the light blue and the white jerseys. They're like, what are we, C9 now? Could you give CLG fans something to be hopeful about in the future and something that's going well for CLG?
Sorry. For those of you who don't know me, inside, I'm the hugest troll ever. So that was for all of you fellow trolls out there. Anyway, yes, of course, there's a lot of wonderful things to celebrate about CLG. I think I'm super excited by our bot lane. I think that they're statistically, the team had one of the worst seasons ever. Well, aside from almost getting relegated, but they performed stellar in their roles despite that deficit. So that's I think a fantastic thing to build on. I think Tristan is, or Power of Evil. I have worked with a number of different world-class mid laners. I think Bjergsen's a world-class mid laner, even if some people think that he's not a world-class because he worlds, TSM, whatever, haha. But anyway, when I see him play and I see the perfection with which he plays the lane and the perfectionism that he takes towards it, I think it's really clear to me that he's in that cut above class. So I think that we have somebody who's going to be able to build the team around in the same way that it was built around Huhi and his strengths and the roaming style that he brought to the table. So I'm excited that we'll have an identity there. I think that this 10-man roster and the player evaluations are going really well in CLG because everybody buys into it. So the camaraderie that we have and the winning as one, which is really tough to have. I think you've seen people like Soaz and Meteos struggle under this kind of structure where they want to win as themselves, and they almost suffer when the team wins and it's not them bringing a part of it, right? But I've seen the mature kind of approach where they're looking at their teammate on stage, the team members here on CLG, and they're thinking oh, I wish that were me, and I want it to be me, and I'm so proud of the guy that is winning this game or losing this game or scrim. as it is, because we haven't had a long season yet. But at the same time, like, they're taking all of that frustration and they're putting it on their own personal growth. So that is like out in spades inside the CLG training environment so far. So I'm excited that every move in the offseason has managed to retain that mindset. Yeah, I think that's, as far as the jerseys go, you guys, CLG's been leading the charge on that. I don't know if you noticed, but we were black and blue long before C9 switched over and copied us. And just because we went to the next thing that is going to be copied in a year or two, like, you should think of it the other way around. Like, we're not copying C9. We're setting the bar. We raised the bar. Now they're all copying us. Like, just look at the TL and the C9 jerseys. You know, it just looks like what CLG was a year or two ago. So, yeah, we want to be the trendsetters, not the cloners.
Weldon, thank you so much for doing the interview. If you guys enjoyed the coverage, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much to Low-Key Community for making this interview happen. If you guys want to support them, the link is going to be down in the bio.